Welcome back to Talk Tickers, where we like to break down these earnings calls.
So you don't have to.
So you don't have to, exactly.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be diving into Teva Pharmaceuticals, their Q3 2024 report.
Ooh, exciting.
Think of this as your cheat sheet
Yeah.
to understanding whether this pharma giant
Right.
is actually making a comeback
Okay.
or just spinning a good story. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And we've got their press release, right?
Yes.
We've got the full earnings call transcript
Full transcript, yeah.
ready to go. And trust me,
Okay.
there's a lot more to Teva than just generic drugs these days.
Right. Everyone remembers the whole debt crisis a few years back.
Oh, yeah.
But this quarter, things are sounding a lot more upbeat.
For sure.
They're talking growth, innovation,
Growth.
and maybe even a total comeback story.
Potentially. Yeah. It's a different tune than we've heard in the past, for sure.
Totally.
It is. What I thought was really interesting is they're showing strong performance across all their business segments,
Across all of them.
which is really interesting. We've got those innovative drugs,
Right.
the classic generics, and even their specialized ingredient division,
Uh-huh.
TAPI.
Okay, let's break all that down for our listeners, starting with that innovative drug portfolio.
Right.
They've got Osteedo, Ajovy, and Uzedy,
The power trio.
the power trio. Yeah, these aren't your typical generics.
Right.
We're talking about medications that address some serious medical needs.
Serious medical needs.
And they're bringing in some serious revenue.
They are.
Let's start with Osteedo.
Okay.
28% jump in sales this quarter.
Wow, that's huge.
That's huge. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Used to treat movement disorders like tardive dyskinesia
Tardive dyskinesia.
and Huntington's disease.
Huntington's, yeah. To me, that kind of growth suggests that Teva's becoming a real player in this market,
Interesting.
which, long term could be very lucrative.
Very lucrative.
Yeah.
And then there's Ajovy,
Ajovy.
their migraine treatment,
Migraine treatment.
holding its own in a super competitive market with 21% growth.
That's good.
That tells me their global sales teams are doing something right.
They are.
They're out there.
They're killing it.
Yeah.
And speaking of exceeding expectations,
Okay.
let's not forget Uzedy,
Uzedy,
their new treatment for schizophrenia.
schizophrenia.
It's doing so well that they actually raised their full year revenue guidance for the drug
Oh, wow.
to $100 million.
Wow.
They've clearly found a sweet spot with both doctors and patients.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I
Yeah.
think the convenience of Uzedy is a big part of that, the pre-filled syringes.
Right.
No refrigeration needed.
Easy.
Easy. And it gets patients to a therapeutic dose
Quickly.
quickly. And, in mental health, where getting people to take their meds consistently that can be such a challenge.
Absolutely.
Little things like that can be game changers.
Huge.
Huge, yeah.
Absolutely. But here's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
Teva's also building this massive portfolio of biosimilars.
Biosimilars.
And these are essentially highly similar versions of existing biologic drugs, right?
Okay.
And they offer patients more affordable treatment options.
More affordable.
Yeah. And Teva's targeting a market worth almost $60 billion.
That's a huge opportunity.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So they're playing the long game here.
Yeah,
Banking on biosimilars becoming a major growth driver.
exactly. Long game.
Long game.
They've already got several biosimilars on the market.
Uh-huh.
Their pipeline is packed with potential blockbusters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, think big names like Humira
Humira, okay.
and
Stelara.
which are used to treat a whole range of inflammatory conditions.
It seems like a smart strategy.
Yeah,
They're tapping into this growing market
exactly.
while using their expertise in developing and manufacturing these complex drugs.
Right.
But they're also not neglecting their core generics business either.
Not at all.
So tell me about that.
Global generics business, solid 17% growth this quarter.
Wow.
Yeah, with increases across the U.S., Europe, and international markets.
All of them. All of them.
So they're proving they can still do it.
They're proving that even with all the pricing pressures,
Right.
they can launch these complex generics effectively.
So they're kind of proving they're not just a one-trick pony.
Exactly.
They can do innovative drugs, and they can still dominate the generics market.
Yeah, it's a powerful combo.
It is a powerful combo.
It is.
But what about their debt?
The deck, yes.
That was a big issue not too long ago.
Oh, it was a major concern.
Major concern.
But here's the kicker.
Okay.
They're tackling that debt head on, and they're chipping away at it steadily.
It seems like they are.
And this has caught the attention of the credit rating agencies,
Okay.
which is paving the way, I think, for a much brighter financial future.
I remember when their debt was making headlines
It was all over.
for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So they've shown some serious discipline in reducing it.
Yeah, very much so. And that's freeing them up to invest in future growth, right?
Exactly. It really is a turnaround story.
It seems like it.
It does. And, Wall Street is taking notice.
Interesting.
Fitch and Moody's both upgraded Teva's credit outlook.
Wow.
Fitch even bumped their rating up to BB. That's actually the first upgrade they've gotten in over a decade.
Wow. That's a serious vote of confidence
It is.
in their leadership and the direction they're headed.
Absolutely.
So does this mean they're on track to get that investment grade rating?
Investment grade, it's definitely a possibility.
A possibility.
It is now.
Okay.
Are you ready to dive into their pipeline?
Hit me.
This is where it gets really exciting.
I know. I'm ready.
All right, buckle up.
I'm buckled.
Because we're talking potential game changers
Okay.
for some major diseases.
Give it to me.
Okay, we're talking everything from treatments for Crohn's disease and colitis
Well, wow.
to a potential breakthrough for schizophrenia
Wow.
and even a rare neurological disorder.
Rare neurological disorder.
Okay, so yeah, Teva's pipeline,
Okay.
bursting with possibilities.
I'm ready.
Let's start with this Crohn's and colitis treatment.
All right, let's do it.
What's the story there?
Yeah, what is it?
Well, they've got this drug called TL1A,
Teal 1A
an anti-inflammatory they're developing with Sanofi.
with Sanofi. Okay.
It targets Crohn's disease
Crohn.
and ulcerative colitis.
Ulcerative colitis.
Two really debilitating inflammatory bowel diseases
Yeah.
that affect millions of people worldwide.
So why is everybody so excited about this?
I think
This particular drug.
current treatments for these conditions often have limitations
Oh.
and unpleasant side effects. So
Right.
a first-in-class therapy like TL1A,
Okay.
if it works, could really significantly improve people's quality of life.
Significantly. All right.
And get this,
Yeah.
we're expecting the phase 2 results this quarter.
Oh, wow.
So we'll know soon enough
Okay.
if this is the real deal or not.
That could really shake things up
It could.
in that space.
Yeah, it could.
Fingers crossed, it's good news for Teva.
Yeah.
And more importantly for the patients.
Well, of course, most importantly, the patients.
Yeah. So let's move on
Okay.
to schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia.
Teva's developing something called olanzapine long-acting injection.
That's a mouthful.
It is.
Olanzapine long-acting injection.
Okay.
And it could be a game changer for patients
Yeah.
who struggle to take their meds every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
It's basically an innovative formulation of a very common antipsychotic
Common antipsychotic.
called olanzapine,
Olanzapine.
but designed to be delivered in a long-acting injection.
Okay.
So this means instead of taking a pill every day,
Right.
patients could potentially get an injection
Okay.
once a month
Once a month. Okay.
or even less frequently.
Wow. I can see how that would be huge for
Yeah.
both patients and their families.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Teva has actually
Okay.
achieved a major milestone with this program.
Oh, what is it?
Okay, so they've been able to exceed the targeted number of injections
Okay.
without seeing any signs
Okay.
of a worrying side effect
Yeah.
called post-injection delirium sedation syndrome
Okay.
or PDSS.
PDSS.
So that's a big win for safety and efficacy.
That's good. That's really good.
Right.
Yeah, that's great news.
Yeah.
So what's next for this potential treatment?
Okay, so we're on track for a full phase 3 data readout in the first half of 2025.
First half of 25.
That's when we'll really know
Okay.
if this treatment has the potential to shake up the mental health field.
I'll be watching for that news.
Yeah.
Before we move on, can you just explain
Yeah.
what PDSS is
Yeah.
and why it's such a big deal?
Okay, so PDSS
Yeah.
is basically a cluster of symptoms.
Okay.
Like delirium and sedation that can happen after someone gets an injection
Okay.
of certain antipsychotic medications.
Got it.
It can be quite serious.
Right.
So the fact that Teva hasn't seen any signs of it in their trials is a really positive indicator for the safety of their olanzapine long-acting injection.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that.
No problem.
Now I understand. There's another drug in the pipeline.
There is.
This one for a rare neurological disorder.
Rare neurological disorder, yes.
Tell me more.
This one is called emrusolmin,
Emrusolmin.
and it's targeting multiple system atrophy, or MSA.
MSA, okay.
It's a really devastating and incurable disease
Oh, wow.
that affects the nervous system,
The nervous system, okay.
causing problems with movement, balance,
Movement, balance.
and even basic bodily functions,
Wow.
like blood pressure and bladder control.
It sounds so difficult to live with.
It is.
So what is Teva's approach to treating this disease?
Well, there are no approved treatments that actually modify the course of MSA right now.
Oh, wow.
So the need for effective treatments is huge.
Huge.
And Teva just enrolled the first patient
Got
in
you.
their phase 2 study for emrusolmin,
Amruselman.
which is designed to target the underlying cause of the disease.
Wow. It's amazing that they're taking on such a challenging condition.
Yeah, and developing treatments for rare diseases is never easy.
Never easy.
But the potential to impact these patients' lives
Right.
is huge.
Huge. It's not always about
Right.
those blockbuster drugs.
It's not.
Right.
No.
Sometimes it's about
It's about addressing these unmet needs.
the unmet need.
All right,
Got
and
it.
making a real difference for people
Yeah.
facing these incredibly difficult diagnoses.
We'll definitely be keeping an eye on Teva's progress
Yeah,
with emrusolmin.
emrusolmin.
Now, I know we have the earnings call transcript itself
That's
to go through.
I do.
What were some of the key questions that the analysts
Oh, the analysts, yeah.
were asking Teva's leadership?
Well, they were really interested
What happened?
in what's driving UZEDY's success.
UZEDY.
Okay. Yeah, whether they can keep that generics growth going.
Right.
And of course, everyone wanted to hear
Yeah.
about the recent antitrust ruling from the European Commission.
Okay, let's unpack those one by one,
Right.
starting with UZEDY.
UZEY.
What did Teva have to say about its strong performance?
So they basically said it comes down to two things.
Okay.
A superior product
Okay.
and a really sharp commercial team that understands the market.
So what makes the product so superior in their eyes?
They emphasize that it's fast acting.
Just acting.
It comes in a convenient formulation.
Convenient. Okay.
Doesn't need refrigeration.
Right.
You know, these may seem like small details.
Yeah.
But for patients and doctors, they can make a big difference
Of course.
in how easy a medication is to prescribe
Right.
and actually use.
Right.
I know.
Yeah. And I imagine their commercial team is playing a key role
Oh, absolutely.
in getting those advantages across
Yeah.
the healthcare providers.
Absolutely. Yeah, they really know how to position
Okay.
UZEDY in the market
Okay.
and communicate its benefits effectively.
Okay. So now what about the generics business?
Generics, yeah.
Analysts must be wondering if Teva can sustain
Yeah,
that impressive growth they've been seeing,
right.
especially with all the competitive pressures
Especially, yeah.
in that market.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They're going to lose exclusivity on Revlimid eventually.
Revlimid, yep.
That's been a major moneymaker for them.
It has been a cash cow.
It has. So what's Teva's plan for dealing with that potential competition?
Well, they seem pretty confident
Okay.
that they can offset pricing pressure and competition
Okay.
by focusing on new product launches
Okay.
and continuing to build that biosimilar portfolio.
Right. So it's sort of a two-pronged attack.
Yeah, two-pronged.
Keep launching new generics,
I'm coming.
stay ahead of the curve,
Stay ahead.
and leverage that growing biosimilar business.
Yep,
Really shake things up.
exactly.
So they specifically highlighted upcoming generic launches for Symbicort,
Symbicort,
a popular asthma inhaler,
popular asthma inhaler, yeah.
and Saxenda, a weight loss medication,
Saxenda, okay.
as key growth drivers.
Great drivers, yeah.
And then, of course, there are those biosimilars for Humira and Stelara,
Can't forget those.
which could really start bringing in the big bucks soon.
Oh, absolutely.
So it sounds like they're covering all their bases.
They're covering their bases.
But there's still that elephant in the room.
Uh-oh. What is it?
The European Commission's antitrust ruling?
The antitrust ruling, yeah.
What's the latest on that?
Okay, so as you know, the commission slapped Teva
They did.
with a hefty fine,
A hefty fine. Oh, my.
claiming that they used anti-competitive practices
Okay.
to protect the market share
Well,
of their multiple sclerosis drug, Copaxone.
Copaxone. Okay.
But Teva is pushing back hard.
They don't seem to be backing down at all.
Not at all.
So they're adamant
Adamant.
that they did nothing wrong
Nothing wrong.
and plan to appeal the ruling.
They're going to appeal it, yeah.
The good news for investors
Good news.
is that this legal battle won't affect their cash flow in the near term.
In the near term, no.
They're prepared to fight this one out in court.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going to.
Okay, so a lot to digest there.
It is.
Innovative drugs performing well.
Doing well.
Generics business is holding strong.
Holding strong.
And a whole pipeline of potential game changer.
Game changers.
But there's also got this legal battle looming.
Hanging over their heads.
Yeah, a mixed bag, but
Mixed bag.
definitely a lot to be optimistic about.
A lot to be optimistic about.
Teva seems to be firing on all cylinders.
Firing on all cylinders.
And their commitment to tackling that debt
Right.
is a very, very positive sign.
It is a very positive sign. It's really curious to hear
It is.
what wild trade idea
Wild trade idea.
you've come up with
I've got one.
based on all this information.
I've got a good one.
But before we get to that,
Right.
let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with more on Teva Pharmaceuticals.
Sounds good.
All right, we're back with Talk Tickers and
Back at it again. We're still digging into Teva Pharmaceuticals Q3 2024 earnings call.
yes.
Before the break, we covered a lot of ground. You know, their innovative drugs, their generic strategy.
Just generics, yeah.
Even that antitrust issue in Europe.
We did, but there are a few things I kind of want to circle back to, just things that stood out to me as we were kind of going through the transcript.
Okay, I'm all ears.
I keep thinking about those analysts grilling Teva about their strategy for future generics growth, especially in the U.S. market.
Right.
It's a valid concern, right? Competition in that space
Oh, absolutely.
is fierce.
It's fierce.
And they are going to lose exclusivity on Revlimid eventually.
Revlimid,
That's been a major moneymaker for them.
It's huge. Yeah.
So it's like, can they really fill that revenue gap?
Yeah, that is the billion-dollar question.
Billion-dollar question.
Can they do it?
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Teva didn't even seem phased. Really all.
Ah.
They laid out a very clear plan, emphasizing those upcoming launches for Symbicort and Saxenda.
Right. Those are both huge drugs.
Blockbuster status.
Blockbuster status.
So even just a small slice
Right.
of those markets could be significant.
Could be significant.
And they were talking up their biosimilars quite a bit, too.
They were. It's like they're saying, we got this.
Yeah, like, we got this.
So
I know what we're doing.
They're not just sitting around waiting for things to happen.
Right.
They're actively
Before you
building this diverse portfolio.
diverse
Right.
that can kind of handle the ups and downs of
yeah.
the pharmaceutical world.
That diversification is key, though, right?
Absolutely.
It's like they're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
One basket, no.
They're playing both sides of the field,
Yeah,
innovating and staying strong in that core generics business.
exactly. And you know what else impressed me?
What?
How bullish they were on Uzedy.
Uzedy.
Remember they actually raised their full year revenue guidance
They did.
for that drug based on its strong performance so far.
That was after just 1 quarter on the market, right?
Yeah, 1/4.
They must really believe in this drug.
I think they do. They kept talking about its superior product profile.
Right.
And, you know, it's a very patient-friendly formulation.
Yeah,
The world of long-acting injectables.
Right.
Convenience is king.
Convenience is king.
And Uzedy seems to have nailed it.
Yeah, I think back to what you were saying about adherence
Right.
being such a challenge in mental health.
Absolutely.
If you can make a drug that's easier for people to take,
Right.
that's a huge win.
Huge win. But it's not just about the drug itself.
Right.
Right.
But
You need a great team behind it to sell it.
of course.
Get doctors on board.
And it seems like Teva has both.
It seems like they do, yeah.
Their sales force really understands this market.
Yeah, they really do.
And they're clearly getting that message across.
They are.
Okay, so we've got those blockbuster hopefuls,
Okay.
solid generic strategy,
Solid generic.
and a promising new drug for schizophrenia.
Promising.
Anything else we need to touch on from the earnings call?
You know, there's one more thing I wanted to highlight.
Okay.
It didn't get as much attention during the call,
Okay.
but it's something that I found really interesting.
Okay, what is it?
Teva's commitment to developing treatments
Oh, yeah.
for rare diseases.
You mentioned that earlier,
Yeah.
their work on emrusolmin
Emrusolmin.
for multiple system atrophy.
Right. Multiple system atrophy, or MSA.
That's a pretty devastating condition.
It is. It really is.
It's a neurodegenerative disorder
Okay.
that basically shuts down your body's autonomic nervous system.
Oh.
So it affects movement, balance,
Movement balance.
things like blood pressure, bladder control.
That's a lot.
There's no cure right now.
Oh, wow.
And it's really, really tough for patients and their families.
So to see a company like Teva
Right?
investing in research
Yeah.
for a condition like that,
For something like that.
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. It's not like there's this huge market
No, not at all.
for these types of treatments.
It shows they're not just chasing profits, they're genuinely trying to make a difference
Right.
in people's lives, even when the market might be small.
It's a good reminder
Yeah.
that the pharmaceutical industry isn't just about these blockbuster drugs.
It's not just about blockbusters now.
And big money.
Right.
There are researchers and companies out there working on these really challenging conditions.
Right. And for Teva,
Yeah.
developing a successful treatment for a rare disease could be a huge reputational win.
Right.
Right. It could position them as a leader in this space and attract,
Attracted talent.
top talent. Exactly.
It's top talent, yeah.
In research and development.
Okay, so it's a long shot.
A long shot.
But the payoff,
Could be huge.
could be huge.
Both for Teva and for those patients.
And those patients, absolutely.
Who desperately need new treatment options. Okay, so let's do a little thought experiment here.
Okay.
Imagine we fast forward a few years,
Okay.
say to 2027.
2027? What do you think Teva's story looks like then? That's a good question.
It is.
If they can keep executing their strategy
Right.
the way they have been lately,
The way they have it.
I think we'll see a very different Teva
Yeah.
than the one we knew just a few years ago.
Very different Teva.
Very different Teva.
I think they'll have solidified their position
Right.
as a major player
A major player.
in both the innovative drug
Innovate.
and biosimilar markets.
Biosimilar.
They'll be leaner, more efficient.
Leaner, efficient.
Their debt will be under control.
Right. They'll have weathered the storm of generic pricing pressure
Yes.
and emerged stronger, more diversified, with a really strong financial foundation.
Stronger financial foundation.
And that stronger financial position
right.
will allow them to invest even more in research and development.
Invest even more. Exactly.
We could see them expanding your pipeline even further.
Expanding even
making acquisitions.
Making acquisitions to bolster their position.
To really bolster it.
Really bolster their position, yeah.
And their reputation will have shifted too.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
From a company grappling with debt and legal issues
Right.
to a leader in the industry.
A leader.
Known for innovation.
Innovation.
And hopefully even for their work.
Right.
In rare diseases.
That's a pretty compelling vision.
It is.
You know what?
What?
In that 2027 scenario,
Yeah.
that long-term call option on Teva stock
Right.
we were talking about earlier
The call option.
could look like a stroke of genius.
A stroke of genius.
Right.
Yeah,
Imagine the investor
that investor
who took a chance on Teva
took a chance.
when everyone else was still skeptical.
Everyone was skeptical.
Could be reaping the rewards of their foresight
They would.
as Teva's stock price.
Yeah. Climbs on the back of
On the back of
those blockbuster biosimilar launches
blockbuster launches.
and positive clinical trial results.
That's the dream.
Of course.
Right.
That's all hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
But it just highlights
I like
the
that.
potential
Yeah.
for Teva to really turn things around
Turn things around.
and create value
Create value.
for both patients and investors.
both.
And let's not forget
Right.
the impact on healthcare.
Healthcare, huge.
Wider access
Wider access
to more affordable biosimilars.
to those biosimilars.
Would revolutionize treatment
It really could.
for chronic conditions,
Chronic conditions.
improving the lives of millions.
It's bigger than just profits. It's about changing the game for the better.
You're right. Sometimes we get so focused
Yeah.
on the financial side of things,
Yeah, you get caught up.
we forget about
Yeah.
the real human impact of these developments.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've painted a pretty optimistic picture
It is optimistic.
of Teva's future.
Yeah.
But we also need to be realistic.
Of course.
There are still challenges ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is incredibly complex,
It is.
and there are always
Oh.
unexpected hurdles, but Teva has shown a remarkable ability to adapt and overcome these challenges.
They have learned from their mistakes.
Learn from mistakes.
And they've come out stronger.
They've come out stronger.
So what's the next piece of the puzzle?
The puzzle.
You need to look at
Let's talk about KPI.
KPI. Okay.
Their specialized active pharmaceutical ingredients business.
KPI. Okay.
This segment has been quietly chugging along,
Okay.
delivering steady growth,
Yeah.
but it often gets overshadowed
Yeah.
by the flashier stuff,
The flashier stuff.
like new drug launches.
The new drug launches.
It's time to give TPI its due.
All right. So what exactly is TPI?
What is TPI?
And why is it so important to Teva's overall success?
Okay, so you can think of TPI as the backbone of Teva's manufacturing operations. They supply the essential ingredients for many of their products.
Okay.
And they've been strategically expanding their capabilities in recent years.
Okay.
Investing in new facilities, new technologies.
But they're not just supplying themselves, right?
No, they're not.
They're also working with other pharmaceutical companies.
That's right.
Okay.
They're really focusing on something called CDMO.
CDMO.
Which stands for Contract Development and Manufacturing Organization.
Contract Development and Manufacturing Organization, okay?
So basically, they're partnering with other companies.
Okay.
Using their expertise and infrastructure.
Right.
To help develop and manufacture new drugs.
That's smart.
It is.
Leveraging what they already have.
Yeah.
To tap into this whole other market.
Right. It creates a more diverse revenue stream.
More diverse revenue stream.
Less reliance on any one product or market.
Exactly.
But here's a little twist.
Okay.
Teva's actually planning to divest TPI.
Really?
Yeah.
In the first half of 2025.
First half of 2025.
Why would they do that?
Why would they do that?
If it's such a solid part of their business?
It's a strategic decision.
Okay.
They see it as a way to streamline their operations.
Okay.
Reduce their debt even further.
Reduce debt.
And really sharpen their focus on their core businesses.
Okay.
Which are those innovative drugs and biosimilars.
It makes sense.
It does.
From a financial perspective.
Yeah.
But it's kind of bittersweet, right?
It is bittersweet, yeah.
TPI has been a part of Teva for so long.
A long time.
It is like saying goodbye.
Yeah.
To an old friend.
It is.
But sometimes it's for the best.
Sometimes it's for the best.
You know?
And the money that they get from selling TPI will give them even more firepower.
More firepower.
But to invest in those growth areas.
That
we talked about earlier.
And you never know.
Right.
Maybe TPI will actually thrive even more. Under new ownership, reaching its full potential.
Full potential.
As a standalone business.
A standalone business?
It's definitely possible.
It's possible.
Sometimes a little separation.
A little separation.
Can be good.
Can be good.
For everyone involved.
For everyone.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with TPI.
We have.
What's next?
What's next?
On our Teva agenda.
On the agenda.
We still haven't really dug into the specifics of the analyst Q&A.
The Q&A, right. Let's go back to that transcript.
Let's do it.
And see what other nuggets of wisdom we can extract.
I love those nuggets
of wisdom,
from those exchanges.
From those exchanges.
You know, those analysts are sharp.
They are sharp.
They often ask those tough questions.
They do.
That can really reveal a company's thinking and future plans.
That's the goal, right?
Exactly.
To get the real information.
I'm ready to get into the weeds.
All right, let's get in there.
What were the analysts most interested in?
Well, unsurprisingly, they were all over Teva's strategy for navigating the generics market in 2025.
In 2025?
Okay. They wanted to know exactly how they plan to deal with those pricing pressures. And the looming competition for Revlimid, their blockbuster generic.
Right, because that's the challenge everyone's watching. Can they stay competitive?
Can they stay competitive?
In generics.
Yeah.
While also making that transition to a more innovative, specialized company.
Yeah, that's the question.
That's the big question.
And Teva didn't shy away from the challenge. They outlined their, I guess you would call it, their multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
Which is basically launching new generics.
Okay.
Growing their biosimilars portfolio. And constantly looking for ways to improve their operational efficiency.
So a mix of offense and defense.
Offense and defense.
Keep launching new products.
Keep them coming.
Stay ahead of the curve.
Stay ahead of the curve.
And find ways to do things better and cheaper.
Better and cheaper. That's the key.
Yeah.
They specifically mentioned those upcoming launches for Symbicort and
Saxenda.
As key parts of their generic strategy.
Right, those are billion-dollar drugs.
Billion-dollar drugs.
So even grabbing a small piece of those markets.
Yeah, just a sliver.
Could make a real difference to their bottom line.
Absolutely.
Right.
And then they've got those Humira and Stelara biosimilars.
Waiting in the wings.
Waiting in the wings.
Ready to go.
Ready to generate some serious revenue.
It seems like a solid plan.
On paper. But of course, execution is everything.
Execution is everything.
In this business. So
right.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
If they can actually deliver on these promises.
And I'm sure the analysts were just as interested in Uzedy.
Oh, yeah.
They want to know.
Everyone wants to know.
If that early success is sustainable.
Sustainable, yeah.
They were definitely curious.
Yeah.
They wanted to know what was driving the strong uptake of the drug.
Right.
And what Teva's expectations were for future growth.
Future growth, yeah.
So what did Teva have to say?
What did they say?
About Uzedy's future.
Okay, so they reiterated their belief in the drug's superior product profile,
Yes.
right? Those key features like
Yeah.
the convenient formulation,
Yeah.
the fact that it's fast acting
Right.
and doesn't require refrigeration.
Right.
They think those advantages
Okay.
are really going to continue to resonate with
Yeah.
doctors and patients.
And they were also pretty complimentary of their commercial team.
Oh, yeah, they were gushing
They were.
about their commercial team. They were praising the team's deep understanding of the schizophrenia market.
Okay.
And their ability to effectively communicate Uzedy-EDY's benefits to healthcare providers, it seems like.
Yeah.
They've got the right people in place to make this drug a success.
Okay, Uzedy is looking good.
Looking good.
But we can't ignore that antitrust ruling in Europe.
We can't.
That's a big deal.
It is.
And I'm sure the analysts wanted to get Teva's take on the whole situation.
The whole situation.
They pressed Teva
They did.
on the ruling,
Yeah.
their plans to appeal,
And
the potential financial impact on the company.
You're right.
You know, they wanted to know if this was going to be a major distraction
Major distraction.
or a drag on their earnings.
Or a drag.
So how did Teva respond to those concerns?
They were very firm
Okay.
in their disagreement with the ruling.
Okay.
And they emphasized their
Right.
intention to vigorously appeal it.
Vigorously. Okay.
They believe that they have a very strong case and are prepared to fight this legal battle to the end.
It sounds like they're not going down
Not going down.
without a fight.
Without a fight. No.
But legal battles can be expensive
Expensive.
and time-consuming.
Time-consuming, they can be.
Did they give any indication of how this might impact their finances?
They did.
Okay.
And importantly, they reassured investors that this legal challenge wouldn't have any immediate impact on their cash flow.
Okay.
They've apparently taken steps
Good.
to mitigate any financial risks associated with the ruling,
Okay.
at least in the short term.
That's good to know.
It is.
So they're taking it seriously.
Taking it seriously, yeah.
But not letting it derail
Not letting it derail things, no.
their overall strategy.
Exactly. So it's a situation we'll need to keep an eye on.
Of course.
But for now, it doesn't seem like it's going to derail Teva's turnaround story.
Okay, so we've covered the generic strategy.
Generic strategy.
UZEY.
UZEY.
And that European antitrust issue.
Antitrust.
Anything else
Okay.
we need to hit from the analyst Q&A Nary?
Yes. There is one more topic
Okay.
that generated a lot of buzz.
Okay, what is it?
Teva's pipeline.
The pipeline. Okay.
Remember all those potential game changers we talked about earlier?
I do.
The analysts were really interested in getting more details on those programs, especially TL1A,
TL1A.
the Crohn's and colitis treatment
Crohn's and colitis.
being developed with Sanofi.
Right, that's the one everyone's excited about.
Yeah, so what kind of questions were they asking about TL1A?
What were they asking?
They wanted to know everything.
Everything.
The upcoming phase 2 data readout,
Okay.
the trial design,
Okay.
the patient population,
Okay.
and of course,
Yeah.
Teva's expectations for the drug's potential.
Okay.
They were really trying to gauge
Okay.
whether this could be a true breakthrough therapy.
Breakthrough therapy.
So did Teva give them what they were looking for?
Did they?
Did they share any juicy details about the trial?
I hope so.
They did.
Okay, good.
They gave a pretty detailed overview of the trial,
Okay.
explaining its placebo-controlled design,
Okay.
the primary and secondary endpoints they're looking at,
Yep.
and the types of patients they've enrolled.
And what about those all-important placebo-adjusted results?
Right.
Right? Because remember, the placebo effect
Oh, the placebo effect.
can be pretty strong in conditions like Crohn's and colitis.
You're right. And Teva emphasized that they'll be looking for a clear signal of efficacy that goes beyond any placebo effects.
Oh,
They
right.
want to be sure
Right.
that any positive results that they see
Yeah.
are truly due to the drug.
Right.
And not just
Not just the power of suggestion.
the power of suggestion.
Right, that makes sense.
It does.
So how optimistic
Yeah.
did Teva seem?
How optimistic
Go.
about TL1A's chances?
They were definitely optimistic,
Okay.
but also cautious.
Cautious.
They
Okay.
pointed to
Okay.
this significant unmet need
Okay.
in Crohn's and colitis, meaning there's a huge demand
Right.
for better treatments.
For better treatments.
And they highlighted the promising preclinical data that supports the way the drug works.
So they're not getting ahead of themselves.
Not getting ahead of themselves, but they're definitely
excited.
Excited about the potential.
Excited about the potential.
It's still early days.
Early days.
But if those phase 2 results are positive, TL1A could be a major win.
A major win.
For Teva and a game changer.
A game changer.
For patients suffering from these debilitating conditions.
I'll be keeping my fingers crossed.
Me too.
For good news.
On that front.
On that front.
We can't forget about their other pipeline candidates.
The other candidates, right?
What did the analysts have to say?
What about?
About olanzapine long-acting injection.
Olanzapine, that's right.
The potential new treatment.
Potential new treatment.
For schizophrenia.
For schizophrenia. They were interested in all the usual things.
Okay.
The advantages of the long-acting formulation.
Right.
The safety profile. And Teva's expectations for how well it might be received in the market.
Okay, and I imagine Teva highlighted those potential benefits we talked about earlier.
They did.
Things like
improved adherence, fewer side effects.
Improved adherence, fewer side effects, exactly.
They really emphasized how this long-acting formulation could improve patients' lives.
Okay.
By making it easier to stick to their medication regimen.
Sticking to the regimen?
And they also reassured analysts about the safety profile.
Okay.
Explaining how they designed the formulation to minimize the risk of that side effect we talked about.
Right. PDSS.
PDSS, right. That post-injection delirium. Sedation syndrome.
Sedation syndrome.
They seem pretty confident. That they've addressed that concern.
Addressed it, yeah.
And the fact that they haven't seen any signs of it in their clinical trials so far. Is certainly encouraging.
Very encouraging.
So what's the timeline?
For
olanzapine long-acting injection?
They're aiming for a full phase 3 data readout.
Okay.
In the first half of 2025.
First half of 25. Okay.
That's when we'll really get a much clearer picture.
Clear picture of whether this drug has the potential to be a real game changer in the treatment of schizophrenia.
Okay, so TL1A and olanzapine long-acting injection.
The long-acting injection
are both on track.
On track.
For major updates in 2025.
In 2025.
What about emrusolmin?
Emrusolmin.
The experimental treatment.
For
multiple system atrophy. Did the analysts. Welcome back to Talk Tickers. We're wrapping up our deep dive into Teva Pharmaceuticals Q3 2024 earnings call. And I got to say, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about their prospects.
Me too. They're hitting all the right notes, strong financials, diverse portfolio, and a pipeline that's packed with potential. But as we all know, the market can be fickle.
Yeah.
Even with all those things going for them, there's no guarantee of success.
That's true. There are always risks, especially in the pharmaceutical industry.
Always risks.
But I think what sets Teva apart is their willingness to learn from their past mistakes and adapt to a changing landscape.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to make bold moves like divesting TPI or going all in on biosimilars.
Exactly. They're not resting on their laurels, that's for sure. They're constantly evolving, and that's what you want to see in a company.
Right.
You're considering investing in, right?
But let's be honest, those long-term bets, those can sometimes feel like watching paint dry.
They really can.
Waiting for those biosimilars to hit the market.
Yeah.
For those clinical trials to wrap up, it takes patience.
It takes patience. It really does.
But sometimes you come across those opportunities that are just too good to pass up.
Right.
You know, where the potential payoff is so big, it's worth the wait. Right. And Teva, with their aggressive push into biosimilars.
Yeah.
And this innovative pipeline, they might just be that diamond in the rough.
I think so too, but there's another aspect to their story that I think is worth highlighting.
Okay.
Something that often gets overlooked in these financial discussions.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. You're talking about corporate social responsibility.
Exactly. Those ESG factors, environmental, social, and governance.
ESG.
They're becoming increasingly important to investors.
Right.
Who want to support companies that are doing good in the world, not just making a profit.
And it seems like Teva's taking this stuff seriously.
It seems like it.
I've been reading about their initiatives in environmental sustainability, ethical business practices, and diversity and inclusion.
They've been recognized for their efforts
to
reduce their carbon footprint, promote responsible sourcing, and improve access to their medicines for patients in need.
It's great to see a company that's not just talking the talk, but actually walking the walk.
It definitely makes me feel better about their long-term prospects.
Right. It shows they're thinking about the big picture.
Exactly.
Creating value for all their stakeholders, not just shareholders.
Stakeholders, yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've explored their financials, their strategy, their pipeline, even their commitment to social responsibility.
We really have.
But before we wrap things up,
Yep.
I think it's important to step back and just acknowledge the complexity of the pharmaceutical industry as a whole.
It's a fascinating world, cutting-edge science,
Yeah.
intricate regulations, fierce competition.
Cheers.
Companies like Teva have to navigate this constantly evolving landscape.
Right.
While balancing innovation with affordability.
It's a lot.
And global reach with local needs.
It's not an easy business to be in, that's for sure.
It's not easy.
But when companies get it right, they have the power to truly transform lives.
They do.
Alleviate suffering and push the boundaries of medical knowledge.
And I think Teva, despite their past struggles, is proving that they have what it takes to succeed.
Right.
In this challenging environment.
So challenging environment.
They're learning from their mistakes, they're adapting to new realities, and emerging as a stronger and more resilient company.
They're not just surviving, they're thriving.
Thriving, yeah.
And that's a testament to their leadership, their employees, and their unwavering dedication to making a difference in the world of healthcare.
Absolutely. So to bring this all back to our listeners, the question on everyone's mind is probably, should I invest in Teva?
Right. What's the final verdict? Bullish, bearish, or somewhere in between?
You know, if you're looking for a quick return, a stock that's going to double overnight, Teva's probably not for you.
Right.
But if you're looking for a solid long-term investment in a company that's innovating, diversifying, making a real difference in the world, then Teva is definitely worth considering.
They're not without their risks, of course.
Of course not.
Pharmaceutical industry is inherently volatile, and there are always those unexpected challenges that can pop up.
Always unexpected challenges.
But they've demonstrated an incredible ability to adapt.
They have.
And overcome those hurdles.
Yeah.
And their current trajectory suggests that the best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come. I think so, too.
Yeah.
This earnings call has painted a very, very positive picture.
It has.
Of their progress and their potential.
Absolutely.
They're making smart decisions. They're investing in the right areas.
Right areas.
Building a strong foundation for future growth.
And remember, as we always say on Talk Tickers, this is not financial advice.
It is not.
Do your own research, talk to a financial expert, and never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Absolutely. Investing is a personal decision, and what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly.
But hopefully this deep dive has given you a better understanding of Teva Pharmaceuticals.
A better understanding.
Their story and their potential.
We think they're a company worth watching closely.
I agree.
And we'll be keeping an eye on their progress in the coming quarters.
We'll be watching.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Talk Tickers.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of earnings calls and market trends.
Until then, happy investing, everyone.